DC art scene as a whole is thriving. It's just kind of like diamonds in the rough, I would say. Like a lot of talent, a lot of raw talent, and then a lot of refined talent that actually has been trained to do what they're working to do.
The reality is there's a lot of people coming together and a lot of people working together. And maybe it's not the people that found some fame and left DC. They might not necessarily be collaborating with DC artists. But I think people are starting to realize that, you know, together we're a lot stronger than individually.
Well, I've been here forever, man. You know, I've been a part of this music since I was 12 years old. Mostly in go-go, though. My roots are really deep in go-go, and I mean, I'm a DJ by, you know, trade. That's what I do. Started spinning records and then taking my way up into high school dances and homecoming dances and DJing at the Crystal Skate and DJing at multiple nightclubs and then making records and DJing on the radio. And now I'm the host of the home team show, DJ Flex and the Home Team on WPGC. And then every day I get you home 3 to 7. That's where I'm at. And then I'm down with LTD.
Go-Go was one of the first platforms where, you know, I was able to get into a band and rap and start to work my craft. And then I got into a rap group where we was able to, you know, go on tour and, you know, experience the, you know, the world. And, you know, come back home and always, you know, when I was in other cities, I seen things like, you know, they put their local artists on the radio and they had a platform in their city, and it made the artists, you know, feel good about, you know, what they do in their craft. So I felt if I ever got on the radio and I ever got my situation, that's what I would do for my city.
I have been around for quite a bit of the DMV music. I am here for all things DMV. I'm not originally from here, but I have learned to like super appreciate the history of go-go, the like just everything that go-go is. So on Monday nights, we actually do a grown and sexy go-go edition of the Goodnight Kiss Mix. So DJ Big John like gets all the dopest, like newest. It's just dope. It is so dope, and I'm super grateful because they're always sending new music in, and I think it's so important to keep the culture of the city going. Even though it's not as much on the radio as it used to be, but I think we still need to do something important with that. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. Like I live for radio, I live for my job, I love what I do, and I'm just blessed to be able to do it. That's me. A favorite moment in DMV history, I got to meet the godfather of go-go, Chuck Brown.
Give me the bread now, give me the bread now. I feel like busting up. Give me the bread now, give me the bread now.
I'm a go-go head, and I got a call from Chuck Brown, and he was doing a live recording for one of his birthday DVDs, and he asked me to introduce him. That's pop. You understand? That's a DC legend, icon, everything. Chuck Brown, the person who created the genre of music, called me and said, "Can you introduce me?" Absolutely. And that was a woo. That one brings chills. Rest in peace, Pop.
The legacy of this building at 631 T Street is incredibly important to the next 100 years of DC's music history, which I strongly feel will a lot of it will start in this building. Chuck Brown, the Howard Theater was his home for a number of years, directly across the street. A lot of the old go-go tapes, they shout out T Street quite often. So it's really an honor and an obligation to be in this building because we really have a serious legacy to uphold. And I feel you've got go-go bands that have been performing together for 30 years. That is so much love and dedication. And if you think about go-go bands that got 12 dudes in them, like, You know, when was the last time you got 12 dudes to get along? You know what I'm saying? 12 musicians, no less. And we're talking about brotherhood. You're talking about lifelong friendships, you know what I mean? And people putting aside their egos and their problems to, like, play this music and to do it. I mean, you know, we can talk about the negatives of go-go and the culture that it brought and the reasons why, but to me, I feel unity, you know what I mean? And hometown pride is, for me, the glue that is go-go.
We have been doing events at Bohemian Caverns on U Street, which is a really historic jazz venue, and we were bringing like some raw hip-hop events to that space. We kept having people hitting us up who were like, yo, I want to come through, but I'm not 21, I can't come in, or I'm not over 18, and even the people under 21, if you're 18, they had to pay extra. And just by chance, Miriam, actually, who's my son's mother, she reached out to Everlasting Life Cafe, which was a vegan restaurant on Georgia Avenue right by Howard University, and was like, hey, what do you think about us doing events here? And they're really community based, and they're like, yo, come through. With that, we started doing these all ages events. So it was kids from like ages 16 to, you know, adults in their 40s coming to see some like live raw hip hop. And we did that from around 2011 and 2012, so like 2 years strong. And through there, we had really a lot of great musicians that came through, a lot of MCs who are now getting recognition. Avion Andromeda, who was like one of my favorite natural MCs, he actually passed away in 2012. Michi Correct, who's a great vocalist. Devin White performed there as well. Like an endless amount, really more artists than I could really count. And the purpose of that space was really just, like I said, providing somewhere for younger artists to get down at.
Born to Everlasting Life. It was a lot of different people, a lot of different types of the same people coming together. And it was just at a really good time where there was a lot of compatibility between a lot of different types of people. A lot of different genres, people came together, and it's still going on today.
One Love Massive, you know, my history, I, you know, grew up in an entertainment household. I grew up with a lot of musicians and entertainers in my life, and was always surrounded by music. I come from a long line of bootleggers and bartenders, so it was ultimately in my genetic code to be where we are. You know, side project for me, I met Soja at State of the Union in D.C. on 14th and U, a legendary little place that shaped a lot of people in D.C., and I started doing events from there, and it just, you know, graduated over the years to something a little bit more serious, and then really fully into a actual plan to support art and music here in DC, and how to make that sustainable and feasible, and actually support artists instead of just touting a flag of supporting the creative community. When a lot of people are selling to the creative community, we aim to truly support the creative community.
I met Molly at Flash with Footwork Band. Footwork is part of one of the artists on One Love Massive Collective, and they from Arlington. I met her through them, and then we linked up on Facebook, and then when she opened the headquarters right here at this Cornerstone, I was like, hold up, she ain't playing, she just like the truth, and that's when I hit her up. I was like, man, I need to talk to you. We rapped, and then we've been.
The backbone of One Love Massive has always been collaboration, so we've never shied away from that, and we have always really encouraged everyone around us to collaborate. You know, there's a saying, all worthy boats rise with the tide, and I feel like that's a you know, important lesson that a lot of people don't really understand, that if we can all succeed, then we're all okay. Like, the definition of success does not mean that the other people around you have to fail. You know, plenty of events we didn't make any money, or we might have even lost money, but we gained, you know, relationships and perspectives that we wouldn't have had before, and so there's no way you can put a value onto that, really.
That's my best friend.
When everybody was saying that the DMV was like the next big market for people to come and make money, that's when you saw people with their hands out, or people who saw opportunity. So those people would be opportunists, and from there it was like a whole industry of people trying to get into the record industry. So you had a lot of middlemen who would get between like the venues and the artists.
What I feel is missing is the education of the music business. I feel like we have a lot of artists here that's very talented, got raw talent, but they have no education on how to maneuver and how to move your product once you get a product. Once you have a product to give out to consumers, now you got to market your product. You also got to protect your product. So, you know, a lot of people don't steal your product, things of that nature. I feel like we're missing the education in the background, in the behind the scenes of the music business.
Image is really important, and being able to interview and like when you come up to the radio station and they have to put you live, like, can you articulate a sentence? Like, that's important, and they don't teach people that anymore. They've kind of gotten away from the whole artist development thing, but that's something, if this is something you really want to consider, you need to figure out how to develop your brand. And you could literally get the information anywhere, YouTube, anywhere, you know what I mean? Like, that's the great thing about where we're at today. Figure out somebody that you kind of mesh with their style, and figure out how they interview, and it's not to say that you're copying them, but you're taking pointers from how they carry themselves, how they answer things, how they answer difficult questions when it's stuff they don't want to talk about. All these kinds of things that'll help you be a more versatile artist.
Network and patience, man. Patience. So of course the network will, help you meet people. They always say it's all about who you know, but you gotta study and know the business to get out and network with the proper people. And patience, man, because I know it was a little frustrating for me, but luckily once I finally linked up with JS and DJ Flex, they had a lot of stuff in order, so I was able to just transition smoothly. So, and now my credits are just piling up one on top of the other. So, I just hope that the deals that everyone's taking out, I just pray that it's the right deal.
Exactly.
Because we know how this industry can be, man. So as long as it's the right deal, and I hope, most times don't treat them right.
Yeah, just don't take the first deal that's thrown at you. It got to be the right deal. So the right deal for you. Like, the right deal for you might not be the same for the next person. So just make sure the situation, is right for you, your family, and, the people that you care about.
Adapt or die. Never attach your ego to your dreams. You should always recognize that, whatever gift it is that you have, it's a blessing and a curse, and you're obligated to share that gift. And when you try to define it too much and shape it too much and attach it to yourself too much, then you lose track of that gift, and then you don't do what you're supposed to do.
We just got to make sure that we change how the culture has been in the past, where everybody said, I'm going to put DC, or I'm going to put the DMV on the map. It's now we spread it around and we working together like other markets that really work together to make sure that they rise their artists up.
I got to know that that's what I'm doing. I got to be confident in what I'm trying to do. Otherwise, I ain't doing shit. I'm just gonna stay at home. I'm making music for myself and maybe somebody who overhearing this shit. You know what I'm saying?
This is DC music history going back to the 70s and further.
I'm a legion of Ra. I'm a legion of the sun. We're all children of the sun, each and every one. You're a child of the sun, each and every one. I happen to be a legion of Ra. I invested time in that organization, and I'm here with Jamal, who's always been instrumental. He was raised with the music.
He
was raised on the tones and the vibrations. Light years ahead of people. Because his father was light years ahead of me. Because he had all the dynamic music on planet Earth. He had everything. He had the best of the best. He was the hub. And all the musicians used to like to come to his father's house when they come to town, chill, and to listen, and to just be. And he was instrumental in keeping the doors open for people, so people like me can have a job. Because John Cherry was the one that spearheaded the radio station in DC space and that third string all happened at the same time. They all grew up together. But the third string disappeared though. So thanks to people like Jamal, he's still alive. So keep faith, keep hope alive, and you gotta face the music.
Face the music.
There's not an overwhelming sense of support. I think that there's a lot of, and this is sad, but it feels like people hate on you until you get on, and then they want to be all on your nuts, like as if they helped the journey for you to get there, when all they did was really block every blessing that was coming your way. It's weird, and I don't understand it, and I hope that there's something that we can do to change that dynamic, because there's so much talent in the DMV. It's so culturally diverse. It's just rich here. Like it's cultures, it's music, it's everything. You've got all these museums and history. History is here, and I just feel like we need to do a better job at like supporting each other and like just making it happen and making the DMV like known worldwide.
Even though there's not necessarily a huge support here per se, as far as like record labels and stuff, there actually is a lot of support, you know, for the local creative community here. I mean, really, like think about how many, like DC is a hub. Like every night of the week, there's like hip hop stuff and deep house stuff. I mean, there's a lot of like underground cultures thriving in DC. So I think, you know, go out and be a part of that shit, man. You know what I mean? You want to be a part of DC music? Like, go out. Like, don't just sit in your basement making beats all day. Like, get out, interact with people, and collaborate.
Use those skills. You don't have to be the one in the front all the time. Trust me. The majority of my career, I'm not the one in the front. That's not really what I planned on being. You know what I'm saying? By de facto, I guess I'm coming to the front. But you can be important without being in front of the camera. For real, for real. Just like the guy that's taping me right now. He's important because these words and the words that you're gonna hear in this documentary wouldn't be heard if it wasn't for the people capturing it.
Just being able to see how many different acts in the area are shining in different ways. People are getting signed in major label companies. People, as far as on the acting scene, are getting into crazy movies like Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah. I went to school with him too. Shout out, what's that, Corey Hawkins?
Yeah.
Shout him out,
Yeah. So just being able to see the rise of the DMV and to see that, you know, like how LA had their scene, Atlanta they have their scene, DMV is like we almost there. So just to see the rise, and then when it hit, it's gonna hit.
Money coming, money go, yeah. People coming, people go. If you sneaking on the low, yeah, I can't rock with you no more. Money coming, money go, yeah. People coming, people go. I swear I need something more, yeah. So I can't rock with you no more. Money coming, money go, yeah. The faster come, the faster they go, yeah. I throw it up, she hit the floor, yeah. Now she feeling for some more. People coming, people go, yeah. You help them once, they want some more, yeah. I sit the lead, I pour the floor, yeah. Now my life is moving slow. Money coming, money go, yeah. People coming, people go. I swear I need something more, yeah. So I can't rock with you no